All right, y'all, this is Prolifically Born Again, and we are going to watch a video and have a conversation. Here we go.
Watch what happens to this famous YouTuber after he mocks God.
You need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you. I just am definitely questioning why we have to perpetuate a belief that is silly. Because I'll be honest with you, bro. Jesus Christ. I defamed Jesus and God, and I felt his wrath. The following 3 weeks have been the hardest period of my life. Started off in Qatar. I got violent food poisoning.
Camera taken away at the airport.
Get to my hotel. It's just little things here and there. Things are showing up. We missed schedule. The next day got alcohol poisoning. Our luggage was delayed, so we had to close to get to our events. Qatar was the first time I felt the wrath of God.
And if you think he's the only one that has mocked God and faced God's wrath, you'd be very mistaken. Take a look at this. Here is a list of people who have faced more severe consequences as a result of their God mockery. Stay tuned, for the last one on this list is the most shocking. First, this is Tancredo Neves, a former elected president of Brazil. It is reported that during his campaign, he said that if he got 500,000 votes from his party, not even God would remove him from the presidency. He did get the votes to become the president, but here is the shocking thing that happened to him. He got sick a day before he was sworn in as president and died soon after. Here's another example. Do you remember the Titanic?
Behind me is Thomas Andrews, an Irish businessman as well as a shipbuilder. This naval architect was in charge of the plans for one of the most famous ships in history, the RMS Titanic. Thomas was extremely confident in the design of his ship and said that it was unsinkable. This is the point where he mocked God, saying, "Not even God himself can sink this ship." Thomas was of course on the Titanic during its maiden voyage, and as we all know, on April 14th, 1912, the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank. Thomas, along with 1,500 other passengers on this day, passed away. Thomas's body was never recovered. In at number 2, most people probably have heard of John Lennon. John Lennon was a member of one of the most famous bands ever, the Beatles. And some years ago, during an interview with American Magazine, John Lennon said, "Christianity will end. It will disappear. I do not have to argue about that. I am certain. Jesus was okay, but his subjects were too simple. Today, we are more famous than him." And as we all know, John Lennon's life was taken by a crazed fan. In fact, in this photo right here, that's the guy that took his life, the one that's looking all creepy.
This other example is very interesting. This right here is Deontay Wilder, a boxing champion. On one occasion, he was to be in a boxing match against Tyson Fury, who is a real man of God. He ended up mocking God in that pre-match interview and later lived to regret it. Watch.
Jesus Christ is my saviour, and I don't believe in all spirits and alter egos. And even mentioning stuff like that on TV, you're getting it.
And
honestly,
that's the difference.
if God is with
between
me,
and you.
nobody can be against me. And if you're entering spirits and stuff into your body, you can't win. You've already lost. I don't want
I'm
any
gonna show
of
you
your
what spirit
spirits you
feels.
claim. I don't want.
It's gonna
Because
be
I'm
your
a
God
big
against
spirit.
my God.
Time-
It's gonna be
because I'm
your
a
God
big
against my
spirit.
God.
You can't.
No man on earth will ever beat me, Tyson.
Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty.
And win the first couple rounds.
Down goes Wilder! He's knocked down! Oh my goodness! Deontay Wilder. Wow.
Fury, like I told him, he have pillows as fists.
Wilder's legs are not underneath him! Wilder is in huge trouble! No knockdown! No knockdown!
He's got to get out of this round, right? He bought himself some time right there.
Something about the legs of Deontay Wilder isn't working. Wilder is exhausted. Fury down goes Wilder again for the second time in the fight.
Badly, they are stitching him up, and they will immediately take him to the hospital for a neurological test and to make sure that he is okay after that brutal beatdown he suffered at the hands of Tyson Fury.
This other story right here is the most shocking. Reportedly in Campinas, Brazil, a group of friends drunk went to pick up a friend. The mother accompanied her to the car and was so worried about the drunkenness of her friends, and she said to the daughter, holding her hand, who was reportedly already seated in the car, she said this, "My daughter, go with God and may He protect you." The daughter responded, "Only if God travels in the trunk, because inside here it is already full." Hours later, the news came that they had been involved in a fatal accident and everyone had died. The car they were traveling in could not even be recognized as what type of car it had been, but surprisingly, the trunk was intact. The police said there is no way the trunk could have remained intact. To their surprise, inside the trunk was a crate of eggs and none of them broke. That right there is wild. I mean, how pride...
Oh yeah, get that in ya. Get that in ya. Now, I mean, this could all be a setup, right? I mean, that could all just be phony. It could all just be, propaganda, blah, blah, blah. But, when you look at all these things, and just the story of it alone is just so left field and just so, you know what I'm saying? And all these people died. And so who's going to lie about a situation where a bunch of people died in a car accident with a bunch of eggs in the trunk that were intact as well as the trunk? That's God telling you, I'm real. Don't mock me. Take it seriously, or you're going to feel my wrath. Prime example. And like the Logan brothers and shit, you know what I mean? All the power to these guys to, get fame and get rich at a young age, and use, and utilize YouTube to do it. But here's a message to all you boys. You guys might not know who I am, but my name's Lucas Coldaway, and I used to be absolute gangster in life. And I've turned my life over to Jesus Christ on all levels. So I'm here to inspire who I can, where I can, how I can. And so to all you boys out there trying to live that famous life, recognize something, Logan. God is real, my friend. You went through the experiences of what happens when you mock him. Maybe you should try to do something with all that money, man. Try to help some people, you know what I'm saying? Because if you're going to go through your life with all that money, and Logan and Paul, I like you guys. And Paul, all the crazy stuff you've done in boxing and all that stuff, man, like, I got to give a shout out to you, man. It's pretty serious. You went through tough times when you were younger, and, and I got to tell you, you made it on top, but, and you have a lot of I can tell by looking at you that, you got stress in your heart, you got stress within your soul, brother. And, Jesus is the only way. He's the only way that you're going to be able to, you know what I mean? Like, when enough is enough, yeah, you can put down stuff, but on a spiritual level with inside your heart, you got to be able to fulfill that, my man. You got to be able to fulfill that. And Jesus is the only way. The only way. So if you're out there and you're on a platform and you got lots of money, man, turn to God and do good with that money, man. Do good with that money. You know what I'm saying? But do that good on screen, because you don't want anybody make sure that everything you do. Now, I'm not saying do everything on screen, because, the reason I say do that is because you don't want, you don't want these elites coming after you and trying to X you out. So you got to kind of put things in existence and put things online so people see what you're doing and know what you're doing, because then if you do get murked, well, we're going to do something about it, or what may have you. But, whatever, just, if you're going to do good and help people less, living in a lesser life, do it on a smaller level in secret, but on a huge level, you're gonna have to do it not in secret. But that's okay, as long as you're putting money in the right places, like to the poor, which were one of you guys could X out for poverty within I don't even know how much of the world. One of you guys, you and Logan Paul, you guys have so much money. You guys could be the ones that could take away poverty completely. But here's the thing: the government and the elites, they ain't gonna let that happen. If there wasn't the poor, there would be millions of jobs lost. So this is what this is the machine that runs. people have to be on the streets, right? If people ain't on the streets and if people ain't using drugs, they ain't selling medications, they ain't selling treatments, they ain't selling this, they ain't selling that. There's no more counselors, there's no more treatment counselors, there's no more treatment centers, there's no more, there's so many things, you know what I mean? So it's all a machine. But if you have lots of money, like some of you guys do, and Logan, if you felt the wrath of God, then shape up, my man, and start doing good with that money. Now, I don't look too far into you to know, you know what I'm saying? But all I can say is that if you have millions of dollars, you got a lot of things you need to do for Jesus to give you praise, man. You have a lot to do. I mean, oh man, I feel for guys that have lots of money, it just depends though. Like if you have lots of money and you're on a platform and everybody knows you have to step out on the other side and you have to expose the things that are going on, because if you don't, you ain't getting down with God. Jesus ain't getting down with you if you ain't flipping the script straight up, dog. It just ain't happening. So there's another video for y'all. There's another little statement from Lukey Dookie. And you know what? I'll see you guys next time on the True Christian channel, Prolifically Born Again. Love y'all. I'm praying for y'all. Peace out.